Yay. Uh, Welcome to Plan Weekly, APAC edition. This is 15th November. We have first item in the agenda. It was posted by John, but it's async, so I'll read it anyway. Plan team will be onboarding a couple of contractors for the months December and January, and we'll basically have them work on OKR as well as any backlog for the plan stage. Goal of having the contractors is mostly for OKR related stuff, so that main team members can focus on the OKRs while the contractors can focus on any backlog items as well as any simpler tasks around OKRs if we need it to be. There will be 8 team members in total who will join in, and out of those, 3 will be joining in product planning. Those will be reporting to me. Remaining team members will be working on service desk related stuff, but we are yet to figure out whom they will report to. It may either be Yarka because service desk is certified, and or it may be that they directly report to John. So and yeah, we'll definitely have behavioral interviews for them starting next week. So we'll have more information as we know concrete details about who are the team members when they join in. But yeah, I expect them to be also participating in these team calls for the months December and January. Yep. Second item is OKRs demos. Abhilash, over to you.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. Right. Oh, this is allowing me to share my entire screen. Yeah. Just let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty minor demo. It's already available in my weekly update video as well, which is out there on the marketing website. So last couple of weeks, what we were doing is we have added a way to add objectives to the issue list thing, and the entire process is behind a feature flag. So you need to enable OKRs MVC feature flag, and you need to have ultimate license as well to see the changes. So if you go to any project and issue list of that project, you're going to see a button which says new objective. This button is going to be inside a drop down with a new issue in the follow-up MR. Now on click of new objective, a form will be shown here, wherein we just take the input of title, right? Once user enters title, they can just click create objective, which will create the objective and the form goes away. And now we don't have icon set. There is currently an issue which is ongoing where we'll get a brand new icons for objective and key results. Once they are there, we're going to update them as well. Now on click of the created objective link, user will be navigated to the work item show page, which is pretty much most of you guys might have are aware of this particular screen. So yeah, this is what has happened so far. So the coming weeks, I'll be working on a progress widget for OKRs. We are planning to make it more generic as possible. We're having discussions around it. So assume there is going to be a progress field somewhere here. And then once hierarchy widget is done, we are going to integrate that here, where we'll have opportunity of where we'll leverage the child widgets and hierarchy widgets to create key results as well as sub objectives. Yeah, so that's the plan. Any questions?
No, I think I'm glad that we no longer have the persistent form within the issues list. I think that was the biggest concern that most of us had. Yeah, I mean, even if we don't do the drop down for the MVC, we just go with the plain button, no a new objective. It is still better than what we had earlier. And I spoke to Amanda earlier this week, asking like how this form will show up in different projects, and she mentioned that we are going to enable this feature flag only on a particular project where OKRs will be used by relevant team members, which means that users are not going to see this button or the form in the GitLab project itself. So yeah, and I don't know how we are going to allow linking issues from GitLab project over to the objectives and key results within a different project, which is the OKRs project, so to speak. But yeah, that is a question to be answered in future. But for now, I think we're good.
Yeah, I mean, this also brings up your question around flipping the feature flag, right? Question which is put by John, I guess. So we do have a rollout issue, Kushal,
Yeah.
but that we are only going to flip the feature flag in production only for one project for MVC, only when feature becomes viable, which is mostly end of Q1 or maybe mid Q2 or Q3s. That's when we're going to actually implement the rollout process.
Yeah. So we can follow the steps as mentioned in the rollout issue, like first enabling it on staging and then testing it out. What we can do though is, even if the feature is not in a viable state, we don't enable it on the actual project where PMs need it, but we can still enable it on the test project, which belongs to plan stage, so that team members can at least try it out and provide any feedback if they have.
Yeah, makes sense.
Flory, the next feature in this OKRs.
Yeah, before I jump on that, just to comment on what you were just talking about, I don't think MVC includes linking epics and issues inside objectives anyway. I think it will come in later, and this is when we can think about enabling other projects. But on that note, we will soon have the ability to link epics from different groups. So that might also help us use it pretty quickly. So yeah, basically I'm going to share my screen as well. What I've been working on is the hierarchy widget. So it's basically like the next step after what Abhilash has just demoed. It's not merged yet. So on if a work item is of the type objective, we will display this widget. Currently it's just empty, and we have these options to add existing or create new objectives or key results. And I've also started implementing like the different forms. So originally the plan was to reuse Epic Tree for this. And as I started sort of like rendering it on this page and try to wire it all up, I realized that it was very cumbersome. It would require a lot of conditions. So I've created like a shell that's specifically for this. And I'm reusing the form components from task hierarchy. And because the forms are similar, it's just the labels are different and we use different types, but it's all the same queries. We just like use objectives and key results instead of tasks. The rest is the same. And when we display children, we'll have the ability to nest, which we currently do not have on tasks. So that will be an improved version of that to add the nested ability. Following the pattern of Epic Tree, but not reusing those components directly, only the patterns. Because like it has a Vuex state, like just the component itself is a Vuex app, which is very heavy and bloated. So we don't want to use it here. And the huge advantage of doing this is that I'm making this component adaptive for all the work item types. So it will work for all work item hierarchy in the future. So it's like we're even working ahead for all work item hierarchy beyond OKRs, which I think is pretty cool. Any questions or comments on this one?
It is looking great.
Yeah.
Well, it's just getting started. Like we can't display children yet. That will be the next step.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually found it so much easier to reuse the work item forms for tasks instead of the Epic Tree. Like I wasted so much time on Epic Tree and like I spent hours on it and it was so difficult. And this, I just put it together really quickly. So
yeah, I think when we started working on Epic's tree, like obviously we had to use Vuex because we were using REST APIs. There was no GraphQL back then. But then it further complicated the implementation when we decided to add support for drag and drop to reorder, and not just reorder. We also allowed user to drag an epic onto another epic to create the nesting. And all that API is still REST. I don't know how it is going to work out with GraphQL. And Vue Draggable, the library itself that we are using to support that drag and drop is a mess. So I don't know how we're going to handle that challenge.
Yeah, so it's better to like completely stay away from that existing implementation, especially since we won't have reorder abilities at the beginning. I'd rather just like detach ourselves from that and see how, like, because the GraphQL endpoint is going to be completely different. So that's also another issue, is like the Epic API is quite different from the work item API, whereas here, like, we already have tasks using the work item API, so it fits way better. But yeah, we learn. We didn't have time for a spike for this, so I'm kind of just winging it.
Yeah, agree with you, Kushal. Not just views draggable. I think any draggable library out there, drag and drop library, is a mess in my personal opinion. Flory, this is looking really great. I really like what exactly I'm seeing now. Right. So thanks for working on this. If you don't mind, can you share the draft URL, because I'm still in the learning curve. I would be happy to see.
You want to share what? Sorry.
Can you share the MR, which is
Yes, I will.
Just for learning purposes.
Of course, I'll put it in the agenda.
Oh, thanks.
There you go. It's on my demo item in the agenda, so you can you can check it that way. So we've already talked about the rollout of the feature flag. Should I just jump onto add existing task, which is kind of related to this, to be honest?
Yes.
We're going to reuse. Yeah. So this was just merged yesterday, and like, this is for tasks, but we're going to use the exact same component and workflow for OKRs. So keep that in mind. So we added we only had, when we were clicking it, this used to be a button and it would just create a new task like this. But now we have the existing task option, which uses a token selector input, which allows us to add multiple tasks, work items, I would say, to an issue in this case. But it means we can add multiple key results and objectives at once on an objective, once this is all connected, like once we have an API to do that. So we just add it and it adds multiple tasks at once, like this on issues. So yeah, this is super useful. People have been asking for this for tasks, and it's definitely also a requirement for OKRs and key results. It's also, we're iterating on this. So currently we can only search by title and add by title. But there will be future iterations after MVC probably to add using the ID or the URL, because that's also been required by customers. But at least it gives the ability to not have orphan tasks anymore. Like, we can always re-add them or move them across issues very easily now. Any questions or comments on this?
No, this looks great and this is required. I myself find, like you said, often that linked to another issue. So it's awesome. Yeah, this is required. Thank you so much for working on this.
Yeah, so
Super.
sorry, go ahead, Abhilash.
Yeah, super awesome, Flory, for doing this and picking the same thing for OKRs. I can instantly feel the relief that we are going to get in OKRs post MVC, because generally what happens is we create CEO OKRs standalone, we create all the CTOs and other level OKRs standalone. Then the linking happens. Not a single tool out there allows group linking, group aligning out there. So with your feature, you can just go to the CEO objective and just select all the sub objectives that you want to link in a single go, and just boom, everything works.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty. I'm also really glad we got this merged before the 15.6 cutoff. This feature for tasks is making 15.6, which honestly I didn't think it was going to make it, because the decision to ship this with just the search and add by title was made last week. I think we made that decision.
Yes.
So I kind of rushed it and did my best, and she's not on the meeting today, but Natalia, thank you for the maintainer review and making sure we made it to 15.6. So it's super exciting.
Yep. So I had just one question, again, not something to be concerned about, but does it support fuzzy searching? I mean, does searching happen locally?
Yeah, so it does on the front end, I think, but not on the back end. So it's not I don't think it does. Oh, it does now. What?
Is it? So are we using
didn't.
fuzz
So
Aldrin
we
plus
used to
to
have,
search it?
I don't know. So I
Yeah,
think it must
so
have been done on the back end because I didn't do any changes on the front end unless, okay. So I'm using a GitLab UI component that I have
okay.
not built, the token
Okay.
selector, which might do a fuzzy search.
Okay.
Because as far as I know, the backend only does matches on full words.
Okay.
But we might have, but if it works on fuzzy, then it just
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works way better than the first implementation we did a few
Okay.
months ago that we decided to turn off. It's working way better. Like it used
Okay.
to only do like matching full words, but let me share my screen again so that we
Yeah.
all share the excitement of this thing working. So I have, I guess I can
Just type in
start
BLH and
create.
see if it brings. Just type BLH.
This is working. Like I don't have to type the full word and it matches partial words in the middle.
No, so API does support that, but if you just clear the search field, notice that new task blow, blur, and blah, right? So type in BLH and see if it matches all three of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
there
mean
you go.
like this? Yeah, no,
Yeah. Oh no. So
it's not
okay.
that good.
Okay. So if the requests are not happening in real time, and if these results are pulled in locally within the app itself, then I think adding fuzz Aldrin plus to the mix and support fuzzy searching might be useful. I mean, I'll take a dig at it now that it is merged. I have some time free
Yeah.
today, so I'll see if I can integrate it before PST cutoff happens for the 15.6.
Yeah, because there's also questions about like, so I think it only returns 100 records at a time. So there's also the question of what if there's more than 100 when you
Okay.
search, because you don't get everything when you search.
Yeah.
It needs to like talk to the API again to like search beyond that 100, still matching that string, etc. So there's obviously more testing we can do to see how we can improve this experience.
Yeah.
But it's definitely better than the first implementation we
Yes.
had a few months ago, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I recall Heinrich discussing support for fuzzy searching on the backend side for the APIs because
That
it
would
was
be nice.
yeah, because it was asked for, especially in the navigation dropdown where we can search for a project within the dropdown itself on the top nav bar of GitLab. And there it never pulled in the right result. I mean, you would type GitLab and expect that it would bring in the correct project, but it would always bring up some other project from GitLab org group and not the
Weird.
actual project. Hey, Donald, you just made it in time.
Or missed the coolest part of the meeting.
Yep.
I just made it in time. What did I make it in time for?
To not see demos.
Oh, no. Oh, well, I'll watch the recording.
Yeah, so I think that was all for the demos. And last item is more of an FYI. It is basically around plan engineering Q4 OKRs. So we have 4 OKRs as of now, like complete annual training assessment in Workday, implement objectives and key results within GitLab, which we are already doing it and show the demos for. Establish plan as leaders in enhancing GitLab's product development flow, which I think we will eventually once we have OKRs and other stuff in. Implement significant performance enhancements, which has been the ongoing initiative within plan stage now that Natalia is principal, and she can focus on some higher level items on the front end performance improvements. So yeah, encourage you to take a look at the details behind all those OKRs. Social time.
Enjoy the last quarter using Ally.
Let me stop the recording and then we can discuss.